What's fantastic about speaking to you today is I'm advising 5 or 6 companies and trying to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up. And that'll be in September. But I don't have to worry about corporate logos. So I chose Minecraft. And does anyone in here know the story of Minecraft? Because it fits in great with human capital, which I'll explain. Everyone's stunned. First of all, I was very fortunate. I was CEO of Heidrick. I was at Heidrick Struggles 18 years. 7 as CEO, lived in Tokyo, Hong Kong, and London. And London was fantastic because when I was in London, one time I happened to go into a pub, as you do when you're in the UK, with 4 or 5 American friends. And as I walked into the pub, I realized I forgot my wallet. Came back out to the car, grabbed my wallet, walked back in. And as I was walking back in, there was a waitress coming out with a tray full of drinks. So being raised in Virginia and having a mother that was very strict on how you treat women, I opened the door for her. At which point she said, "Thank God somebody around here has manners. There's a bunch of rude Americans inside." The point to that story is I want to make this very interactive. I know it's 4:30. I know you've had a long day. There's been a lot of interactive and great conversations, but I had this whole presentation which I'm going to completely throw out the window on Minecraft. This quick story of Minecraft and how it dovetails with human capital is that when we think about all of the conversations we had today, it was remarkable for me. How fast can you get a candidate? So when I was at Heidrick Struggles, it was amazing because we used to tout to individuals like you, hey, we have 3 million people in our database. 3 million. 3 million. We know where they went to school. We know their compensation. Michael, I know everything you did. Everything. I know your background. I got it. I know what Michael did. So that's how great we are at Heidrick Struggles, because I know all of this. So we embarked on a journey to become a leadership advisory firm because 6 months ago I was at the gym and I ran into somebody from LinkedIn. Does anyone know today how many people LinkedIn has in their database? Well, let me take a step back. Does anyone know 6 months ago when I asked this question, how many people LinkedIn had in their database? 300 million. And when I first spent time with Reid Hoffman 6 years ago, it was 20. So in 6 years, they've gone from 20 to 300 million. So who cares? Who cares about having a resume? Who cares what Michael puts on his resume? I'm not trying to pick on you, Michael, but you happen, I can read your name because I have bad eyes. What is it today that companies look for? What is it talent-wise that companies look for? It's great when you have kids. Keep you up trend, right? Okay, one of the jobs I have is a senior advisor for McKinsey in their human capital department. And we talked all day about transformation, about disintermediation. I'm going to share something with you guys. I hate the war for talent. The best line that I heard in the last 6 months was in China. A CEO stood up and he said, "Hey, great news, everybody. The war for talent is over. Talent won." So it's amazing that here we are today using the war for talent when 15 years later we talk about disintermediation, we talk about Uber, we talk about, was it zip cars today? We talked about the printing press, we talked about how things are changing and evolving in the world, yet we're still talking about the world for talent. Anyone know Darwin? Know Darwin? What did Darwin say? Everyone thinks, okay, let's talk about Darwin, survival of the fittest. There's a big beastly lion out there that's going to be the strongest. That's going to take. It's not about being the strongest, but if you look in italics up on this screen, It's those willing and able to adapt to change. Which organizations are talking about change today? All of them. But who does it, right? Who does it? Who does change well? Change is something that we speak about, but no one is good at. I was laughing. I was in the back row today, and so I'm going to pick on, I don't know if they're here. There's two people. Bryn gave a speech today on RecruitiFi. And let me tell you why RecruitiFi is right. And I can say this now because I'm advising companies. I'm no longer CEO of Heidrick Struggles. There was 2 questions Bryn got today. One was from somebody at Deloitte. And I'm on the board with the former CEO of Deloitte. And I knew the previous CEO of Deloitte. And I know all of the CEOs of the the professional services company. And the question was, hey, Bryn, why would I have you at RecruitiFi give the same candidates to me at Deloitte that you would get at Accenture? Why? And if Bryn's kind, because if I was up there today, I'd be like, who cares? I would have said to her, who cares? Do you think that those 350 empty positions that you have, they aren't looking at other companies? What are you going to do at Deloitte or XYZ company to retain those people? Who cares? Yeah, I'm going to show these candidates to them. Because guess what? There's 300 million people on LinkedIn. They're going to be looking at other jobs. They're not only, those 350 or 400 candidates or 500 candidates, they're not only looking at Deloitte. They're looking at every other job possible that's going to advance their career. Talent one. Do you believe that? How many jobs so let me give you a number. I had breakfast this morning with somebody from Microsoft, and Microsoft has made a big splash recently. 2,000, somebody mentioned they have who here has job openings they can't fill? Did talent win? 2,000, so Microsoft, they're laying off 7,800 people at Microsoft. They have enough money to buy 33 countries. 33 countries. So when you read that headline, do you think that Microsoft is having problems? Do you know what the number one challenge they have? Transform the industry through culture. Their biggest challenges are culture today. 2,468 job openings at Microsoft. 2,468. How many high schools do we have in America? 48,000. How many teach computer science? Very few. 2,000. So 48,000 high schools, 2,000 teach computer science. 65, the reason I was having this conversation was on immigration, which was a fascinating conversation, because they can't fill these jobs. 2,468 jobs, 48,000 high schools, 2,000 teach computer science, immigration in the United States. 65% of our patents here in the United States, guess what? Foreign students. 65% of the patents we have here in the United States are by foreign students, yet when they finish and graduate, we send them back. And we can't fill jobs here in the United States. It's not an immigration talk, it's a talent talk. So what are we going to do? I can't show this. One of the boards I'm on, has everyone, I know you haven't looked at your phone because I'm so engaging. Everyone pick up their mobile phone or device or whatever they have. Just please do that for me. And if I could show this video, you'd be astounded. And Frank, you're going to be my witness. Look at your phone. And I want to know who on their mobile phone has either one, their wireless on, or two, their, oh my God, the Bluetooth. Thank you. Who has their wireless and Bluetooth on now? I hope you don't have your credit cards on your phone, because the probability of you getting hacked into, go on this website sometime, write it down, norsecorp.com, and just look at it. It's a phenomenal website. I'm an advisory board of a cyber company. You're more than likely being hacked into. And this shows all the hacking done at this particular time. The reason I'm bringing this up is that there are all of these jobs. We talk about unemployment. We talk about companies not being able to find people. There are jobs out there that we're not even prepared for yet. I know one of my conversations with Brandon and RecruitiFi, one of the biggest challenges is finding people in cybersecurity. Are we prepared? I mean, how are companies preparing for this? How are we preparing for the future when it comes to talent? And how are we preparing for jobs that aren't even existing yet? Full circle, 3 million people in a database, 300 million people in a database. Who cares? You can find the talent, right? Can you guys find, I mean, you can get resumes today. You get resumes every day. You have recruiters bothering you, sending you CVs, but what does that matter? How do you develop people? How do you retain people? 40% of executives who leave at the senior level do not last 18 months in a job. So what do? So you have development, retention, succession planning. Boards, by the way, this is a phenomenal statistic. Boards spend less than 2 hours a year on succession planning. It's less than a game of golf, right? 60% of people mentioned in succession plans, which many of you may do, didn't know they were in succession plans. So you have a conversation, Michael, and you say, hey, Michael, you're going to succeed the next general manager. He didn't even know. Has anyone seen these YouTube videos? If you get a chance, I see a few of you nodding your head. Go on YouTube and look up going to work on Monday. I didn't put it up here. But if you look at the polar bear on the left, going to work on Monday, and this is another, this stuff just amazed me in my free time. So you have on the left, going to work on Monday, and you have on the right, how do you as employees get that penguin is excited to be at work? Don't YouTube it right now, but make sure that you take a look. And here's why. 10-year study from Gallup. 29, 54, 17. That's the 10-year average. I know they don't sync with the numbers on the screen. So here, 10-year average. 29% of people in your firm are engaged. Yeah, this is a great firm. I love working here. Fantastic. 54 are sitting there thinking, you know, this is a kind of a nice place, but if RecruitiFi sends me an email, I may look on the outside. And here's the staggering statistic, and I want you to think about this because this is something that you have to deal with every day. 17% of employees in organizations, this is a 10-year average, love this term, actively disengaged. It means I'm going to wake up 7:30, have my coffee, and I'm going to figure out how I go to work and disrupt the whole organization. How do I piss people off today? 17% of us, which is fascinating because it'd be this whole corner of the room. How does this group of miscreants over here, including you, Brent, how does this group, 17%, come in and piss you off? Stephen, they're going to come up to you and say, hey, Stephen, did you hear this rumor? Forget the water cooler because they don't exist anymore, but how does this group exist? What do we do about that today? You're all laughing, but it's true, and I love that term, actively disengaged. Has anyone ever, I know you're not going to raise your hand up a sec, has anyone actively disengaged? You're laughing. Somebody in here is actively, if 17% are, somebody in here is actively disengaged. How do you keep a whole new generation, 1978 to 2005, Nadira said it, they don't want to leave their job. How do you keep someone like yourself in a job? Number one, obviously, it's interested in what you're doing, and whether it's marketing, whether it's human resources, whether it's, a CFO, whether it's technology. So number one, you have to be interested in what you're doing. Otherwise, you're actively disengaged. Number two, compensation. Who in here doesn't like money? 31% of people leave their job for higher compensation. Only 31%. It's not higher compensation. Why do people leave their jobs? I'm going to segue real quick. I'm real quick to Minecraft, because this is, Minecraft, number one, does anyone have a niece, nephew, child, or anything that plays Minecraft? Uncle? I'll tell you what's fascinating about Minecraft. Number one, when you go home today and somebody says, what did you have, you went to, or tomorrow in the office, and somebody says, hey, what kind of talk did you listen to? Some HR boring talk or some recruiting talk? You say, no, I had a great speech on Minecraft. And then they're going to be like, your kids will be, oh, Minecraft, that's fantastic. And you don't have to lie. And number two, it deals with HR. Notch, the founder of Minecraft, his whole life loved Legos. His dream was to become a computer gaming expert. Quit his first job. Why? His boss told him what to do all the time. Went to his second job. Too much structure, too much rules. Anyone know that Thomas Edison quote, rules, there ain't no rules, we're trying to get something done here, creativity in organizations? His second job said, maybe I should get out of the gaming industry. I grew up loving Legos. I went to one company, I thought I was going to be a gamer. Went to the next company. They told me what to do all the time. He goes to a third company, and the CEO is engaging. Gave him free time. Indie. I thought it was music. I-N-D-I-E. Indie. It's free time within organizations. And I know we talked about that this morning. One of the speakers talked about one versus one, giving back to society. And so his third job, his CEO kept asking him questions. How about, I know you're creating this game on the side, but what about getting input from other employees? What about us embracing what you do? What about us giving you free time to actually create the game? He went to his mother and said, hey, Mom, what should I do? And there's a fascinating article. His mother says, oh my God, I don't want him locked in his room for 4 or 5 more days doing nothing. I can't afford to take care of him. He goes on and creates Minecraft. And the moral of the story is he wasn't appreciated by his boss, so he left 2 companies. He goes on to create Minecraft. And what's ironic today is Minecraft now sold to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. And he says, people ask him, what about the financials? Why did you create this game? He's like, it's not about financials. It's not about creating a P&L for an organization. It's about being the best computer game ever. Appreciation by your boss. And I'm not saying everyone should go out and create Minecraft or let their employees create Minecraft. I'm saying compensation's not the most important thing. He didn't do it for compensation. He was living with his mother. Third most important thing is learning. So this third most important is learning. I grew up in our investment banking practice. And so I used to get individuals saying, hey, you know what, Kevin, I'm really bored. I've been an M&A investment banker for a number of years. And by the way, I need to switch companies. I'm going crazy. So they then would go interview, move to a new job, only to find within 6 months that, yes, they're getting paid the same amount of money, but simultaneously, despite having a different name on their card, they were doing the exact same thing. It was boring. And we talked about earlier, Nadir, I mentioned you, with Generation Y, the millennials, I was told not to use that they'll stay at the same company, but how do you create that learning environment? How do you create a new experience for somebody? How do you retain, going back to retention, how do you retain employees to stay in your organization for a longer period of time versus seeing that churn we're going to see? It's only going to get worse. Executives at Lego wanted no part of this. They're like, you know what? Minecraft, who cares about that? We have our own organization. We don't want to change. We don't want to embrace. We should have done this ourselves. If you read what the CEO of Minecraft says, it's completely different. How do you open up? How do you engage others? Whether you're Uber, whether you're Airbnb, how do you engage others to help you be more successful? So it's interesting when you get a chance, if you have it, to read the whole Lego Minecraft story as it pertains to human capital. 2 years ago, leaving for work one day, and my 8-year-old said to me, hey, Dad, can you do me a favor? Can you ask your boss if you can come home early tonight and watch my baseball game? And I looked at him and I said, Well, actually, I said, I am the boss. And he looked back at me over his cornflakes or Captain Crunch or whatever cereal he was eating, and he said, really? He said, I thought you were the CEO. One of the best lessons in leadership that I've had to this day. No longer do we have this dictatorial style of leadership. Does anyone know what a reverse mentor is?
A younger person, less experienced, culture set.
Yes, absolutely. You're going to get a star on the refrigerator.
Waking up.
I have a reverse mentor, 28, JFK school, owns her own firm today. Nigeria, you probably know her. All on the millennial group. I learn more from her in 2 conversations a month about what's happening in the world when it comes to technology, millennials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Airbnb, etc., than I do trying to research it on my own. And so reverse mentor, I highly recommend it if you get a chance, because going back to the dictatorial style of leadership, we all think historically, and this is a question I asked you earlier, where's the bridge? We all think that, hey, I run the organization. I can send an email. I can send a text. I can send a message. I can tell you in a meeting what to do in a firm. IQ, EQ. EQ is emotional quotient. IQ is we used to think that if you have the highest intelligence, you can run an organization. It doesn't work. People, they're the inner workings within firms today that run organization. We don't. You can't be a manager and run an organization without understanding who in your firm wields the power, not the 17% actively disengaged, but who can you rely on to deliver a message? Who can you rely on to run the organization? That's who runs the organization today. That's where we find information out. It was fascinating. About 6-7 years ago in the Wall Street Journal, there was a report done on where the Fortune 500 CEOs came from, and everyone thought, oh, Harvard, Yale, Pennsylvania, I'll throw Duke in there because I'm biased. All the CEOs went to these schools. Do you know who knows where most CEOs at a Fortune 500 came from? Had nothing to do with the IQ piece of the equation, had to do with the EQ. How do you bring people along? How do you engage people? How do you understand who in the organization is making these decisions? Anyone know what CQ is? Cultural quotient. Culture meaning 2 things. Number 1, organizational culture. This amazed me today. So we're all in these rooms today, and I kept wanting to raise my hand saying, how about culture? How about it's great, you're recruiting all of these people. And one company this morning said, hey, we have targets. As soon as we get, the high quality bums and seats, we have targets for recruiting. We want to recruit people as fast as we can. Where are the statistics for attrition? What is the cost of a mishire? How long do people stay in firms? How do we retain people? How do we create that learning environment? How do they understand the culture? So culture takes on a new thing. I have 2 minutes left. Culture is also, I was fortunate enough to live overseas for a very long period of time, but how do you understand what it's like to do business across the globe and understand that? Quick story, and I know I have 2 minutes. I was recruiting a head of investment banking and M&A for Merrill Lynch in Tokyo. And the candidate at the time came from Citigroup. And I'm going to make this very quick. I recruit him the day that he's going to resign. He comes in and I say, listen, we're going to role play. It's a breakfast meeting. You're going to resign at 3 o'clock today. What are you going to say? They're going to come back to you. They're going to offer you more money. They're going to tell you they love you. They're going to tell you you've been here for 15 years and how great you are and they don't want to lose you. The investment banking market in Tokyo is tight. Yes, Kevin-san. Yes, Kevin. I got it all. 3:15 goes by. 3:30 goes by. I call the guy at his desk. Watanabe-san, did you resign? Yes, Kevin-san, I did. Why are you still at your desk? My boss said no. culture, right? I can't then call the head of global investment banking at Merrill Lynch and say, his boss said no. What do you think that phone call is a Heidrick Struggles partner? How is that conversation going to work? Took 2 weeks. I got him to move, but CQ is critical. And what does it come to? And I'll finish up. CQ is culture and communication. And communication in firms is great. I was with a friend who was a great cook, and he was having dinner, and him and his wife were cooking, and his daughter, 13, 14 at the time, said, look, I really want to help out. You know, you're making this great dinner. It's a special occasion. I know it's your anniversary. What can I do? So the mother's like, hey, you can set the table. And remember, fork goes on the left, knife goes on the right, and when you put the knife down, the sharp end goes towards the plate. Oops. Guess I'm out of time. And obviously, okay, I will do it this way. This is the result. When you talk about CQ or cultural quotient or not having a slide deck that works properly when it comes to communication, but what I wanted to do, attracting talent is great. Finding a database of people is great. Embracing people, developing people, having people learn in organizations, giving them experiences and diversity overseas is phenomenal. Giving them new experiences. That's how you'll win, not in the war on talent, because we all agreed collectively that we don't like that term. That's how you're going to retain and be successful as organizations. Thank you very much.